Hello, you lovely ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mengs, and today I welcome you guys back to another Advanced Wars Egg Cup replay commentary. This time around, we're casting round 5. Now, the Egg Cup, in case you don't know, is an open Advanced Wars tournament for all my viewers. Everyone was invited to participate. The signups are closed now, sadly, so you can't get in on the first season, but the games are still being played. Don't worry, there's going to be a season 2, or we're already working on it. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But as you can see, the first round of the Egg Cup ends tomorrow. So anyone who doesn't complete their games by tonight will have them all cancelled. I don't believe there's that many games left in round 1. Like, I think most of them, yeah, these guys still playing either that or they just went AFK. So as you can see, almost every single game in round 1, I do believe, has been concluded at this point. Maybe there's like a few that are still ongoing. So if they're not done by tonight, then they won't be able to progress further. As you can see, we have quite a lot of contestants in the Egg Cup. It's been a very, very cool tournament so far. And there are people who have reached the very last round. So yeah, definitely check the sheet if you haven't already. Maybe you have a match that's scheduled that you haven't started yet. So definitely do that. Anyway, so I'm currently doing sort of like a map making contests, and you guys check out the video linked in the top right corner of the screen if you want to see more details. Basically, I'm allowing you guys to create a bunch of maps, which I am presenting to a map committee, and the 10 best maps will be used in Season 2 of the Egg Cup. So definitely check out that if you haven't already. If you want to make a map and have people play competitive games on it, then definitely go and watch that video right now. However, I'm also going to be linking some help in the video description, some map making tools, some tips on how to make better competitive maps, how to properly do first turn advantage. Contby sent me a couple of links and he said I should pass them on to my viewer base so that they could get a little bit of a better understanding of how to make competitive tournament maps, because there are actually sort of like a lot of strict guidelines you need to follow to ensure that a map is properly balanced. So definitely check that out. So far, the map committee has been incredibly strict. I think out of 100 maps, they've greenlit about 4 of them. So they are extremely picky in the maps that they pick, but hopefully that means we should get 10 very good maps to play on. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, enough about that. Let us jump into this game, shall we? So, this particular round of the Egg Cup, round 5, takes place on one of my favorite fog games of all time. It is Stalingrad. I don't really know why it's called Stalingrad. I don't think anyone really knows. It doesn't look like Stalingrad. Not that I really know how Stalingrad looks like, but I'm pretty sure it's not this. But I used to hate Stalingrad. I used to hate it with a burning passion. Whenever I got it in the Global League, I just groaned. I was like, oh, I hate this map. Then I played a bunch of games on it. I got D just to teach me how to properly play on it. And ever since, I've loved it. But I think maps, you enjoy maps depending on how well you understand them. And maps that you play well on end up becoming your favorites. And for me, this is definitely the case with Stalingrad. It's this huge open map, and it's there's a lot of forest tiles, but there's not a lot of room to stall out the game. It's a very open map, so you have these big sweeping pushes that goes from one side to the other, and it's very easy to make a lot of big aggression happen on the spot. Stalingrad is not just a map that you can just hide behind a wall and create a bunch of artillery. Of course, some people can do that, but it's not as likely to succeed. And once the air units start coming in, bombers are very competent on this map. Neo-tank pushes, pushes supported with artillery too is also a big thing on Stalingrad. So, and the comm towers are very exposed as well. If you lose one side, you can easily end up losing a comm tower, which is a really, really bad thing, because of course you give your opponent a huge firepower advantage. And the HQs are more exposed than you might think. So if you're not careful, your opponent could go for an HQ rush and just end the game like that. And what I also really like about Stalingrad are these 2 side properties over here, surrounded by shoals. There's always a lot of fun battles happening in the corners of Stalingrad, lots of infantry engagements, so infantry firepower, very important. But most of the time on Stalingrad, you'll usually see both players pushing hard on one side and not on the other, and there will be a lot of aggression taking place either on this side of the map or on this side of the map right here. Kind of depends on how the game flows. So the players, well, Nonova and Incuggarch. Most of you guys should be familiar with Incuggarch. I just did a video playing against him. He is one of the top-rated Advanced Wars players in the world, and he's going up against Nonova, who is absolutely no slouch. I don't remember their rating on the top of my head, but I think Nonova is rated either 1200 or 1300. He's a very highly rated Advanced Wars player. but he is up against Incuggarch, which is one of the best Advanced Wars players in the world, so it's going to be a tough matchup for him. Even though he's a very strong player, he is up against one of the strongest players of all time. Now, of course, Incuggarch, I think he's more adept in standard games compared to Fog, but he's definitely no slouch in Fog either. And we have a bit of an interesting matchup today, and one matchup that has been discussed a lot by players lately, and that is Sasha versus Hawk. Now, there has kind of been a consensus in the metagame that Sasha hard counters Hawk, and that has kind of been what people have been saying for a long time now. Like, oh, Sasha counters Hawk. She hard counters him even. Like, if you're Hawk going up against Sasha, you practically already lost. Because, of course, Sasha has the ability to shut down power meters with her market crash. And Hawk has a very long power meter, which means that it's very easy for Sasha to prevent any powers being fired off from Hawk until like maybe day 20 or 25. Like, you are lucky if you get your Black Wave off at least once during a matchup with Sasha, which is why people think Sasha is very good against Hawk, but it's not really the case. Lately, a lot of people have been debating whether or not she hard counters him at all, because sure, Sasha does get that 100 extra income per turn per property, which is a nice day today, but Hawk gets a 10% bonus to his firepower, and in a competitive matchup like this, where every little advantage is worth a lot, they kinda cancel each other out. Having 10% extra firepower over your opponent is a pretty big deal. It's not as good as having 10% extra defense, aka von Bolt, but having that 10% extra firepower means that with the comm tower, which you do have on Stalingrad, your tanks, for example, can two-shot enemy tanks on cities 100% of the time. It's a very important, like that 20% firepower is a very important benchmark, because it means that 2 times 55% firepower will be an automated kill. Or an automatic kill on properties, which is huge. With other COs, there's a small gamble involved, but with Hawk, he can do it every single time. So that 10% combined with the comm tower, it means a lot more than you might think. It's a very important benchmark to hit, and Hawk has that as a baseline. Sasha does not. She only reaches 10% with the comm tower, and she'll need to get boosted by her powers to reach the same firepower. And of course, Market Crash, it's a very, very cheap power. You're probably going to get it every other turn, but there are still turns where you won't have it, so that is a big deal. And of course, you can't overlook the fact that in this matchup, Sasha will almost have her Market Crash up every other turn, which gives her 10% firepower and defense, whereas Hawk will not. And yeah, that is a big deal. And when I say every other turn, I mean like into the mid to late game, once like engagement starts taking place all over the map. Or obviously not in the early game, but like after day 10 or 12, you're gonna see Market Crashes happening a lot, because they're just incredibly cheap to spam. Never use War Bonds or Superpower, just don't. I know there's a couple out there who are going to be like, oh man, I use War Bond. Like, no, don't use it. It's bad. Just trust me on this. Don't click it, okay? Good. I'm probably going to see a couple comments like that anyway, but I just wanted to get out of the way. So, yeah. So, Nonova is Sasha against Hawk, who is Incuggarch, I almost said. Incuggarch, who is Hawk. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us jump into the first turn, shall we? So, never really know what to say during these first few turns here. It's like, oh yeah, infantry, sure being infantry, alright. They capping properties and whatnot, but on Stalingrad, you do actually have to take some consideration to your capture order. D just grilled me hard on this when I played games against him, because when we say things like capture chain, in case you don't know what that means, it basically means the path which the infantry takes along the map to capturing properties as effectively as possible. And here on Stalingrad, there's a lot of beginner traps that you can do with your capture chains. Obviously, you want to try and get the neutral base right away, that goes without saying, but how quickly you get the airport can vary a little bit from player to player. Now, for example, let's see what Incuggarch ends up doing here. Yeah, so this is exactly what I figured. So you can see that there's a bit of a difference here. Incuggarch actually does not go for the airport right away, whereas Nonova does. And this is one of the early game decisions you have to make when playing on Stalingrad. How quickly do you want to get that airport out? Incuggarch opts to skip it, whereas Nonova goes straight for it. Of course, if you go for the airport, you are giving up some tempo on the properties in the center, whereas if you skip the airport, you do get a little bit of an income disadvantage, but you get the contested properties quicker. If you plan to spam out early game battlecopters, it's definitely worth it to grab the airport, or alternatively maybe even transport copters. Those can be viable on this map as well. It's like one of the few, I think Stalingrad is like one of the few maps where you might actually see transports from players, because it's so big, you don't really get punished for making transports. But of course, Incuggarch just delays the airport for a single day. It's not really that big a deal. And of course, we got to remember that Nonova is player 2, which means that, Nonova is player 1. And player 2 does get that extra infantry on Stalingrad, which is important to note. So, but yeah, how you choose to move your infantry over this map is, as I said, really important. And here you go. We see already the APC being built on day 5 and even boosting the infantry a little bit there, which is kind of nice to see. So getting, and double transports, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, this is a build on Stalingrad, but look at Incuggarch, he's going double recon. So this is going to be very scary. You may think that Nonova is being absolutely crazy for doing this, but this is not as uncommon on Stalingrad as you might think. The double transport opener is actually done on the highest level. I will say though, Nonova has some freaking huge balls doing this against Incuggarch, because Incuggarch does love his early game recons. This is something that I've noticed him doing a lot. He is very prone to opening up 2 recons in most of his fall game. He really likes the early scout, he likes the early harass, and keep in mind those Hawk recons pretty scary too with their extra firepower. So yeah, looks Nonova's using his transports really well there. Moving in there, and look at that, he's getting like a double boosts. You love to see it. You know, I used to hate boosting, now I absolutely love it. I mean, I know it's not technically part of the main game. In case you don't know what boosting is, I'm going to show you exactly what I mean when I say boosting. Look at Nonova's infantry there. He's going into the APC and he's unloading at the same turn. Transports on Advanced Wars by Web can load off the same turn you load into them. This used to be a technical limitation of the site. They figured out a way to fix it, but the community loved it so much that they begged them to keep it in, and it's been in ever since. And this allows you to do stuff like this, loading an infantry and unloading it out in the same turn. This is called boosting, as I said. As I said, I used to hate boosting. I was an Advanced Wars 2 purist. I was like, this is not part of the game. That shouldn't be in there. But you really start appreciating the mechanic after a while, because it just opens up so many interesting plays with transports and makes them so much more viable. So I love boosting. I have converted to the Church of Boosting. I'm sorry to say, all you purists in comment sections, purists in the comment section, I love it. I want it to be I want it to continue being a feature of the site. I'd be very sad if they took it out. So yeah, anyway, so Nonova is going double transport artillery. I've seen Deejus go this build once. It's a very ballsy build. You're giving up pretty much any early game aggression, and you're very prone to early game aggression. And Incuggarch does have 2 recons, so I do believe he's going to punish Nonova pretty heavily here. Going to be interesting to see exactly how. He's moving out his recons, obviously. I think he's mostly interested in using these recons for scouting, but of course, you know, classic Incuggarch right here, double artillery. We know that Incuggarch loves this artillery. If you watched my previous video that I did on him, he loves early game recons, he loves artillery. Not really a tank spammer, Incuggarch. He's no Tordred. He doesn't like to pump out a bunch of tanks in the early game. He likes to set up walls. And let me tell you, Incuggarch walls are made of incredibly stern stuff. They're very hard to breach. In Standard, it feels like there is no way to breach them at all. It's like he accounts for every possible possibility, because he uses like 5 days to take 1 turn. So he like sits and probably like calculates everything in the move planner. Which is why it's so hard to play against, because this guy really takes his time. Now, I remember reading a comment from people who were like, I don't think Incuggarch is really that good, because if you give people enough time, they can do anything. It's just that he's just a very patient guy. He's not necessarily good at Advanced Wars. Like, okay, if you took 5 days to take your turns, they still wouldn't be as good as Incuggarch. Yes, it's true, he does take his time. And yes, it is true, Incuggarch is not as good in live games as he is in Standard games. But he's still pretty freaking good. And you gotta give the guy some credit. So, but yes, obviously he does have a lot of time. In this Egg Cup, though, he has less time. That needs to be said. He has less time than he otherwise would have had. Because I do believe we had like 6 hours per turn in this tournament. It'll definitely be longer next time. So once again, moving in his recon. Here it sits very safely. Even if there's another recon in the vicinity, it won't want to attack here. Because like the recon will deal more damage than it takes on a city. And we all know what Deejus says about recon on recon violence. Don't do it. It's gonna make the recon very sad. But this is great for Incuggarch. Like, he sees everything here. I'm sure he's wondering why there are no tanks here or recons, so I'm guessing that based on, like, due to how good of a player Incuggarch is, he probably assumes, like, he can see 1 transport, but he also sees no tanks or recons, so he might already be sniffing out that this is a true transport opener. And of course, in that case, he's gonna get very aggressive. Now here, interestingly enough, he opts to, yeah, he goes for a tank and 2 infantry, which I guess is the prime build order here, considering he had 11,000 in the bank. So Nonova still doesn't see the recon, it's hidden in the woods, so he doesn't know that it's there, but he does have a tank here now. Of course, it's not guarding the properties, so Incuggarch can get a free hit if he wants to. And oh my goodness, he is really going hard for this property right here. So I think one of the reasons why Nonova moved the transport copter down here is to block Incuggarch from taking the city. If he has like an infantry here, it'll get trapped on the transport, which is pretty smart. Of course, it does mean the transport is a little bit... He could have, like, loaded off the infantry here and then moved the transport back a little bit, but this way he ensures that Incuggarch will not take the city from him. And that's one of the things I just really enjoy about Stalingrad, is the continuous battle in the corners. Always so much fun stuff happening there. And you neglect the corners, you're going to lose yourself a couple of properties, which is really bad. But yeah, he's using his APC and his transports really well. Of course, as Sasha, he does have a little bit of extra early game economy to work with, so he can afford those transports. But most Sasha players that I go up against, they seem to just use their extra income for tanks. So that's at least what I seem to recall them doing. So Incuggarch gets a free hit here, no tanks to scare this recon off, and he interrupts the capture as well. Moves in his artillery as well. Make good note of how Incuggarch moves his artillery, because it's gonna be a marvelous thing to behold. Gets another free shot on the infantry over here. So already Incuggarch's recons are paying dividends. They are really getting him a lot of scouting information. They are harassing enemy infantry. They're just doing their job beautifully, as only recons can. On Stalingrad, I definitely say that recon openers are very viable on this map. I personally like the tank openers. If I'm tier 4, I like the tank openers as Jess, but recons are fantastic on Stalingrad, because it's just an open map, so many forests to hide them in, and vision is crucial on this game, because there's not that many mountains in the center for your infantry to get vision on. There's like 2 mountains, I think, on the entire map. Yeah, it's like 1 here and 1 here, and yeah, another 1 here. It's like 4 mountain tiles in total, so you really do rely on those recons to get scouting done. But yeah, Nonova moving in his artillery. I do believe Incuggarch saw that though, so that is a bit of a problem right here. You can see this recon has perfect vision. So I'd say this is not a great move from Nonova, because a revealed artillery is a useless artillery, as they say. Incuggarch's a good player. He will have seen this. He will have used the replay function to see the artillery moving, and so he knows there's an artillery there now. And to give this kind of knowledge to a player like Incuggarch is scary, because now he knows, okay, artillery in this woods. And even if you move it, he'll probably be able to surmise where it is based on your troop positioning. So again, always be careful with revealing your recons like that. And he decides to also go for a cap here. He knows he has the tank. I do estimate that Incuggarch will pull his recon back though. I never took him as a greedy player. He seems to not be very fond of taking big risks. He plays very carefully, which is one of the reasons why it's so hard to beat him. So Nonova builds his first battlecopter out here. Battlecopters are insanely good on Stalingrad, and there's going to be bombers later, so I have it as a rule of thumb on Stalingrad. Day 9, day 10, I get an anti-air out immediately. I don't care. There will be a battlecopter coming on Stalingrad. They're so incredibly good on this map, because they can, I mean, that's actually not particularly true. I mean, they're not super good, they're just good because they're battlecopters. I wouldn't say Stalingrad is like a battlecopter dominant map, because there's no rivers or mountains for them to dart back, but battlecopters are just good regardless, and yeah, you're gonna end up seeing them. But no, I wouldn't say that they're super good on Stalingrad. They're just good because they're battlecopters. So here Incuggarch does something very interesting. He actually forgoes his own capture to take out the infantry, which is an interesting move, and he takes out a second infantry even, so he's just clearing this area of infantry, and then, once he deals with them, he sets up that Incuggarch artillery right there. So, interesting play right here. I guess he felt like killing an infantry is warranted ignoring one of your caps, which I do kind of agree with that. Unit count is extremely important. Another Incuggarch artillery getting into position right here. So they are just perfectly positioned to tackle any threat. And yeah, right now, day 9, he knows there's a battlecopter coming, so he builds that anti-air. Solid play by Incuggarch. So Nonova's turn. Right now, I do believe Nonova is he's a little bit ahead on income, but then again, Incuggarch still has properties that he's capturing. Sasha will be about 3 to 4k ahead of you in income, thanks to her 10% bonus. So that's just something you have to deal with. But usually, if you can pressure her a little bit, you might be able to be a few properties ahead of her, because of course she doesn't have any extra firepower. So that's the idea whenever you play against Sasha. And here, Nonova's trying to take the comm tower. I have a feeling Incuggarch is not going to let him do that. So let's see what happens here. So, 2 tanks coming out here. Also a mech, interesting. I mean, mechs are, I wouldn't say they're very good on Stalingrad because the map is so open. There's no mountains for them to take cover in. But I will say one thing, and that's the fact that he does have that APC. So why not get a couple of mechs to the front line? They might be able to do something. Sasha's not fantastic with mechs though. She doesn't have, like... To be good with mechs, you kind of need a movement boost, which Sasha doesn't have. But, you know, if you can get a good hit off with mechs, then that's a good thing, I guess. But yeah, as I predicted here, Incuggarch is not... I love the movement of that infantry. Yoink! He's not going to let that comm tower be capped, or... He decides to cap, though, instead of killing it, which I guess is fair. But now he has that artillery in place, and look at that. Look at that beautiful artillery right there. Like, Nonova will never get this comm tower. Not unless he brings a lot of units down here for Incuggarch. So just look at, like, the placement of his artillery is perfect. Like, I've never seen a guy utilize artillery better than Incuggarch. It's really amazing to see. Look at this. Perfectly covering every single one of his units. If Nonova moves in here, he's going to get shelled. And a recon, a tank, and another artillery. Oh, yes. Normally, you know, I just lambasted one of my friends. Clockinator is playing like his first few games in the Global League. I'm going to be casting one of his new games soon, just to like pick it apart and like yell at him. But one thing that he is doing is he's building way too many indirects. And this is normally something I lambast noobs for. I'm like, stop spamming artillery when you don't have map control. But Incuggarch kind of makes it work just because his positioning is so perfect. But do not, like, if you're a new player, do not try to emulate Incuggarch's playstyle. This is one of the worst things you can do. Do not spam artillery like Incuggarch is doing, because you won't be able to pull it off the same way he does. For noobs, my general advice is just build a lot of tanks and a couple of artillery to keep them safe. But generally speaking, you wanna be more tank oriented when you're lower rated, because your positioning just isn't as good and you won't be able to keep your artillery safe. So, Nonova does get a recon kill here, though, which is pretty nice, but he also places himself right in the range of Incuggarch's artillery, so you can ask yourself how good of a move that really was. So, but he brings out his mech. That mech is now guarding the tank, which is nice, but it's still not in range, or it's not in range of the artillery, so that's really what matters. But okay, Nonova's going in here. This is kind of interesting. He doesn't really have any tank support, though. Oh my god, he's gonna get social-act. Oh, this is painful. Yeah, so Incuggarch's gonna punish this hard, I think. Yeah, look at that. He has the artillery. He has 2 tanks. I think that artillery is definitely dead. He can break through this very easily. Being Hawk, he can kill this infantry with 2 infantry of his own. So let's see if that's what he ends up doing. First, though, he gets a good shot with the artillery, and he kills the tank as well. Sees the mech, though, so the mech will be able to get a nice shot off against the tank, so that's kind of nice. But still, Incuggarch still got a free tank, pretty much, even though the tank is going to take a little bit of damage on the next turn. But you can see Incuggarch's focusing most of his attention in the south here. There's a small battle going up here, though. I do expect that Incuggarch will punish this pretty hard, though. So yeah, in comes the tank. One-shots the recon. Gets a good shot here. And yep, looks like he's going to do a wall break, and boom, that artillery is toast, 2 HP left, and he even gets an interrupt as well. So yeah, he punished this pretty hard. I don't think Nonova knew that there was an artillery in the woods here, nor did he know. I don't think he saw the 2 tanks before it was too late either. So, and yeah, another artillery, because why not? You know, like, we don't have enough artillery, let's just get more artillery. And yeah, he does get a pretty nice shot off with the mech. It's not bad. And no market crashes have been popped yet, but I do expect that one will come in at the end of this turn, maybe? Incuggarch still has... He's still not even halfway to his Black Wave, so... But he needs to be a little careful now, because if a lot of engagements start taking place, Hawk can very easily pop a Black Wave, and if that happens, Sasha is at a huge disadvantage, because her entire toolkit relies on her opponent not being able to get a single power until the late game, so... But looks like Nonova is pulling back, wisely so. You can see that Nonova is still at a heavy income advantage due to being Sasha, 26,400 to Incuggarch's 23,000. So he basically has 3,400 extra income that he just gets passively every turn. Of course, Incuggarch is going to cap a couple properties next turn. But Nonova builds a battlecopter, an artillery, tank, and a recon. Kind of nice on Stalingrad, but yeah. In comes Incuggarch, and that APC is toast. He actually kills the APC over capping, which I think is kind of hilarious, but he really needed to kill it. Moves his artillery back, and again, you see his formation. Look at this formation right here. Just look at this formation right here. Look at this defense. I mean, it is impeccable. Every single move is made with purpose. Look again at these beautiful artillery positionings right here. I mean, this is just a thing of beauty right here. Look at that. Beautifully covering every single unit. Like, how can Nonova attack into this? He can't. The anti-air is here to ward away the battlecopter. Yeah, it's very difficult to go up against this level of artillery defense. So, and he brings in a second anti-air too, sensing that battlecopters are on the way. This is just about intuition, really. When you play Fog, like, your gut feeling will often be your best friend. Like, you're feeling that, okay, I think my opponent might be going battlecopters now, so I'm building. You have to build anti-air in preparation, because the moment you see the battlecopter, it's too late. You gotta, at that point, you need to have the anti-air there already. So it's very interesting how that works. Like, that's why I really enjoy playing Fog games, is because I do enjoy the prediction element. And another artillery, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus Christ. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 artillery on Stalingrad. That is absolute madness. That is absolute freaking madness. No one else would have been able to get away with this kind of play. So in comes the first market crash. Boom. Eliminates Hawk's entire power bar. And of course, that nice 10% firepower and defense boost is also very welcome. Makes Sasha a little bit stronger than Hawk for that one turn. And oh god, Nonova's going to try attacking into this. This is not going to end well, I can already say right now. Oh no. If he only had a single extra tank to follow this up with, this would have been a little bit of a better attack, but he just did not have that tank. So I have a feeling he's going to get pretty shellacked next turn, but let's see what happens. So, and yeah, it's building a lot of battlecopters now. So Incuggarch did well in responding with an anti-air. Also building an artillery. He's trying to build some artillery of his own, which is fine, I guess. But yeah, here comes the counterattack. Ooh, even with the 10% defense, not really gonna matter. Boom. And yeah, Incuggarch's going hard right now. He's going pretty hard right now. But not overly hard. He still stays within the range of his artillery. Like, you'll notice, and now there's 2 artillery even, so this position just got a whole lot worse. But he never goes outside his artillery range. He always makes sure to take those engagements, and he boxes his artillery in beautifully with these units. It is really nice to see, honestly. Day 13, the first medium tank is popped. At some point in Stalingrad, you do have to tech up. And Nonova now sees that there are 2 artillery here waiting. So any chances of attacking into this probably not going to go as well. But is he still going to do it? Gets that tank, not bad. Oh no, he's going for it. Oh god. Alright, he's gonna get 1. Oh, and he pops a second market crash. Boom, eliminates that entire power meter. So let's see what he can do. Well, he gets 1 artillery, but the problem is Incuggarch has another. And he has another here too, so I do think these attacks are not going to work that well. He moves in a artillery of his own, but Incuggarch sees it, I'm pretty sure. Actually, no, he doesn't have vision on it right now. 1, 2, 3. No, he doesn't. He does not have a recon here, but he can pretty easily figure it out. So Nonova's positioning is pretty good too. It's just that Incuggarch is just on a completely different level. So, but in comes the battlecopters. We'll see if they'll be able to equalize the playing field a little bit here. They might. They might. We're just gonna have to find out. So Incuggarch's turn rolls in, and it's kind of funny how this property hasn't even been captured yet. It's kind of just like... it's kind of just been sitting there. And this is pretty common on Stalingrad. Like, the corners can be completely neglected. It's pretty common, even in like day 20, to still have neutral properties on the map, because the fighting is just that fierce in the center. So Incuggarch comes in with, he shifts one of his recons into the center, gets another battlecopter with his artillery, or sorry, with this anti-air, which is pretty nice. Comes in with the tank, kills this, and yeah, there we go. That artillery is toasts. Oh my goodness, this hurts to watch. So yeah, you just don't want to attack into Incuggarch artillery, man. I know I've said it a lot, but this is a really bad idea. I felt myself how badly that goes. So in comes the artillery. Again, he's keeping them in pairs now so that they cover each other. So even if you get one, the other one will get you. And yeah, moving in a third artillery, because why not, you know? Still though, I will say their unit value difference is not that big. Incuggarch has definitely been gaining the upper hand now, and he definitely has the unit count advantage. But I will say, and he's also almost equaling Sasha in income, which is never a good position for Sasha to be in, but their unit value disparity is not that far apart. So Nonova is doing a good job keeping up with Incuggarch here, even though he is definitely a little bit behind at this point. And once again, he decides to attack into Incuggarch artillery. And this time around, he gets both of them, which is not bad at all. So he won't kill them though, so Incuggarch will be able to pull them back and repair them on cities for them to come back and fight another day. But for the time being, he has sort of broken the unbreakable Incuggarch wall, and he also has a pretty nice artillery positioning of his own right here on the comm tower. I do like this, so really well played by Nonova here. He's fighting back pretty hard. Problem is right now though, as you may have noticed, Incuggarch has his normal power ready, and I do not think Nonova will be able to get his market crash this turn, which means he's going to have to deal with the Black Wave, and that's the Black Wave day 15 Stalingrad, that's definitely a little early. I would say normally it would come in on like day 20 and beyond, but here I think Nonova went a little bit too hard in the aggression, didn't control the power meter properly, and as a result Incuggarch is going to get that Black Wave in, and that does hurt quite a bit. I mean, just look at the value. Ugh. Just the normal power. I mean, just let's look at that again, shall we? 111,000 to 126,000, and it goes boom. That's quite a bit of a value equalizer right there. So that's just the normal power. So, but that's always annoying whenever Hawk gets a normal power, and as you can see, Incuggarch is using this to just sweep the north side right here. Doesn't matter that he lost a couple of artillery. They got repaired too, which is even better. One of the good things about keeping your units alive as Hawk. Gets another battlecopter with the anti-air and kills the recon as well. Ooh, this is very, 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 very scary right here. This is not liking Nonova's position right here now. I think he's gonna be in a pretty bad spot right now. As soon as that Hawk normal power rolled in, that pretty much I think was GG for Nonova. Now Incuggarch is just sweeping the field with him. But let's see, day 16, let's see if he can make some plays. Of course, now it's no point in popping Market Crash anymore. He could try to go for the superpower. I wouldn't recommend it though. Probably better to just save up for consecutive Market Crashes on the next turn to get that firepower and defense boost. I have seen some people try to pop the Sasha superpower. It usually doesn't end well for them. But Nonova is mobilizing a little bit of a counterattack here on the north-hand side. Not a bad counterattack, but he's still moving into Incuggarch artilleries, which is just not a good thing. But he keeps spamming out those battlecopters. Incuggarch has been very adept at picking them off, and he has 2 more anti-air coming on the way too, so don't think those battlecopters are going to be able to do a whole lot. But Incuggarch is pressing his attack pretty hard on the south side right now. Now he's applying pressure to the comm tower. It's a lot of good hits in with the artillery. And now he's capping properties too. So if Nonova is not careful now, he's going to end up losing his comm tower. And Incuggarch is also applying pressure to the HQ. So, yeah, this is a very, very scary attack. Incuggarch is pretty much winning on both sides now. So, Nonova has his superpower ready. I'm wondering if he's going to attempt to pop it. He might. Let's see if he does. But yeah. This is not going so well. Oh, he does actually pop it. He pops the war bonds, ladies and gentlemen. So what does that do? 50% of the damage he deals, he gets back as cash. You kill a battlecopter, that's like, what, 4,500? You kill a tank, that's 3,500. It's really bad. Oh, wait. Yeah, 4,500. I'm not good at math, but I think I can divide by 2. So, war bonds, you can see right here. Boom, gets a little bit of extra cash. You can see the cash go up a little bit whenever Nonova attacks. So now he has 33,000, 34,000. You can see his cash goes up, 35,000, 37,000, 39,000. There we go, 40,000. So, how much? And then he and then he resigns. That 40,000 may seem like a nice bank, but it's not enough to get him back into this game. So always nice to see War Bonds popped. I know people think it has potential, but as a superpower, it just doesn't do a lot, which is the big problem behind it. It just like doesn't do enough to equalize the playing field, basically, for the cost of a superpower. If it was like, I think it was like 75 or 100%, it probably would have been a lot better. But 50% is just not good enough for it to warrant be popped. Like you need to use that power charge to keep the global damage in check, pretty much. But yeah, that was a bit of a stomp, honestly. And yeah, I am a sucker for Incuggarch games, so obviously I picked it. Even like the moment I saw the game, I was like, of course Incuggarch is gonna win. But I still want to cast it anyway, because seeing the way this guy positions his artillery never ceases to amaze me. But yeah, he is working his way pretty far up in the tournament right now. Let's see. I do believe I'm gonna go to the matchups. I do believe Incuggarch is currently awaiting a he's made it all the way to round 7 now. I think it's very likely that he will. Oh, sorry, I don't think you guys can actually see this properly. Let me scroll all the way to the right. So yeah, you can see he is currently waiting an opponent. I think he might actually end up going up against Toulouse, which that would be an absolutely killer match. If Toulouse defeats Tofumao and moves on, Toulouse versus Incuggarch, that's gonna be a match. I really hope to see that, absolutely. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this little replay commentary. I'll be casting round 6 pretty soon. No stream tomorrow. My girlfriend from America is coming over, so she's arriving tomorrow, so I'm not gonna stream, but I will stream on Tuesday, so just thought I'd let you guys know that. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this replay commentary. Give it a like and a comment, and let me know if you're still in the Egg Cup, how's it going? And if you haven't checked your matchups, go do that right now. Anyway, guys, see you guys later. Bye-bye!